Epson LS12000 has to be one of the most anticipated home theater projectors to come out this year. But with its $5,000 price tag, can it really live up to the competition? Welcome back everyone, I'm Rob, and lately I've been looking into a lot of different home theater projectors to eventually replace my old 1080p Panasonic, but nothing on the market really met my needs as far as price or features go. That is, until Epson introduced the LS12000. On paper, this projector checks off all the boxes: a laser light source, 3 LCD design that gives you a 4K image, HDMI 2.1 for 120Hz gaming, and motorized lens control for focus, zoom, and image shift. But again, that's just on paper. So we went ahead and put the LS12000 to the test to see how well it performs in the real world. And I'm really excited to share with you what we learned, and hopefully it'll help you to make a more well-informed purchasing decision. Anyway, the LS12000 is Epson's newest flagship model, replacing the hugely popular 6050UB from 2019. And you might be wondering what exactly changed in the last 3 years. Well, for starters, they decided to put an end to changing the bulbs by designing a completely new laser light source. This is really cool to see in a home theater projector because it means that you never have to worry about replacing a bulb. The lasers have a half-life of 20,000 hours and they're rated to put out a very bright 2700 lumens. This, combined with the 0.74-inch LCD panels, give the LS12000 the ability to produce colors that are just as bright as the projector's white output, which should result in a more vibrant image. And because they're LCD panels, there is absolutely no chance of seeing any rainbow effect. Now, the 6050 also had 3 1080p LCDs, but the difference here is that the LS12000 shifts them 4 times to get a true 4K image with 8.3 million pixels on screen, whereas the 6050 was only capable of about half of that amount of pixels. Epson also decided to bring HDMI 2.1 to this projector, providing a full 48 gigabits per second bandwidth for 4K HDR at 120Hz, along with ARC and eARC support. This, combined with a low input lag of 20 milliseconds, makes this a great projector for gaming, but we'll talk more about that a little later in the video. So those are just some of the biggest changes between these two projectors that we felt needed to be addressed before we went ahead and set it up. The only problem with that is this is a really big projector. As you can see, compared to my old Panasonic, the LS12000 takes up a lot more space in every dimension, which meant that I had to basically rebuild my projector shelf in order for the new projector to fit. It is worth mentioning that Epson does provide a really nice chief mount with this projector, but unfortunately our review sample didn't come with it. But if you order one, it will definitely be included. That said, if necessary, you can also purchase it separately on their website for $300. Alright, with all that sorted out and the projector mounted up, it was time to turn it on and start getting everything configured for our 120-inch Elite screen. Epson makes this part of the setup really simple thanks to its motorized lens control. Now, one concern that we had was whether or not this projector would actually fit in our room and be capable of displaying a full 120-inch image. So to make sure that there were no problems, we went ahead and used the throw distance calculator that Epson provides on their website to confirm that we did have enough distance from our lens to our screen. Next, we set the projector to our preferred image settings, and this is where the included backlit remote really came in handy. Unfortunately, the backlight doesn't turn on when you pick up the remote. Instead, you have to hit this little button on the top right corner to get the light to turn on. Overall though, the remote is pretty ergonomic and you get quick access to a lot of useful features and menus on the projector without having to go through the setup screen to find exactly what you need. That said, Epson has also made a lot of nice improvements to their setup UI. In my opinion, it's really easy to navigate through and you get plenty of different options for customizing the picture exactly to your liking. One tool that we found really useful was the 4-corner keystone adjustment, which helped us to perfectly align the image to our screen. In terms of the actual picture settings, we're not going to go through all of them because it would just take far too long. So instead, we're going to tell you how we set up the projector's image settings to our personal preferences. As far as color goes, Epson offers 5 different color modes, and in our opinion, the natural mode offers the most accurate colors out of them all. We did adjust the laser light output to 75% as well, but this is going to depend on your screen gain and whether or not it's a white or ALR screen. We did notice that the fan noise from the projector was noticeably higher when we set the light output to 100% compared to 75%, where the fan noise was barely audible. Dynamic contrast is another new setting, which replaces the auto iris option on Epson's older models. This adjusts how the laser light source and the 3 LCDs change their brightness during darker and brighter scenes to give you a better dynamic contrast. We kept this setting pretty much always on normal. Frame interpolation is another feature which helps smooth out motion. But of course, if you're going to be watching movies, you'll want to keep this disabled or you'll end up with the old dreaded soap opera effect. And that pretty much sums up the changes that we made. We left all of the other settings on their default values. Anyway, I think we need to start talking about what is arguably the most important aspect of a projector, and that is the picture quality. There's no doubt that the LS12000 has an incredible picture. Colors pop, white scenes are plenty bright, and dark scenes retain an amazing amount of detail. It performed really well with SDR content, as expected for a projector of this class, but we were even more impressed once we started watching HDR movies and TV shows. And this is an area where a lot of projectors just fall short, simply because they can't output enough light to produce HDR content properly. As we mentioned earlier, the LS12000 does use pixel shifting technology to get the 8.3 million pixels on the screen, which gives a crystal clear 4K image. And despite the fact that it uses LCDs, we didn't notice any screen door effect or convergence issues with our unit. The projector also offers a way to realign the LCD panels in case they become misaligned. Now, just to be clear, we didn't do any image calibration with this projector because honestly, we don't have the equipment or the know-how to do so. But if you want to get the very best image possible, the LS12000 is both ISF certified and Calman ready, so it can be calibrated by an ISF certified technician. As impressive as this projector has been so far, there is one area that we feel could be improved on, and that's the black levels. Not that they're bad by any means, but we did notice that in some scenes, the blacks appeared to be more of a dark gray. This might not entirely be the fault of the projector though. There are a lot of things that come into play when trying to get the best black levels possible, and a very important one is to match your screen to your projector. And I say that because our screen, with its 1.3 gain white material, could be making the blacks appear brighter than they actually are. So if you're going to be looking into this projector, you might want to consider going with a gray screen that has a lower gain, depending on the size that you want to go with. That said, lowering the light output of the laser from 100% to 75 did get the black levels looking much better. Of course, all projectors struggle to get those inky blacks, and in order to see an improvement in this area, you're going to have to spend quite a bit more money. Something that this projector doesn't struggle with though, at least in our opinion, is the gaming performance. Using our PS5 connected directly to one of the HDMI 2.1 inputs on the projector, games like Gran Turismo were nothing short of amazing, with spectacular specular highlights in HDR and fast-paced games like Rocket League feeling very smooth and responsive at 120 Hz. Combined with the very low input lag of 20 milliseconds, this projector should also feel great with first-person shooters. Even games that don't take advantage of all those fancy HDMI 2.1 features, like Assassin's Creed Valhalla and God of War, still looked incredibly realistic, and the 120-inch screen made the whole experience that much more immersive. So that's going to wrap up our testing of the LS12000. We've been enjoying this projector for about a month now, and we have to say that we're very impressed with its overall performance. The only thing that we feel could have been improved on with this projector would be the inclusion of dynamic tone mapping for HDR. With that said, they do offer what Epson refers to as real-time HDR curve adjustment with 16 steps of control to fine-tune the way HDR content looks on your projector. And in general, this gave us a pretty good HDR experience overall. And even though 3D is not nearly as popular as it used to be, we do need to mention that this projector doesn't support 3D content, which isn't something that we personally are worried about, but we feel like we needed to mention this for those that do. In the end, we feel that Epson's done a great job improving on their old 6050UB and offering a new model with some of the most sought after features that people are looking for in a high-end home theater projector, while still keeping it at a very competitive price. And that's why we're more than happy to give the Epson LS12000 our highest recommendation. If you're in the market for a great home theater projector, you definitely need to check this one out. And with that said, it's time to wrap up this video. You can learn more about the Epson LS12000 on their website, and we'll make sure to leave a link down below. We appreciate your support, thank you all for watching, and as always, have an awesome day.